Hello, welcome to the history about that changing sport. Now, this is only part one, so let's get on with the show. So in this episode, I'll be sharing my thoughts about just the Australian sport, how it's changing today. Sit back and relax. Sit back and relax. Oh, if you're definitely new, make sure you let's go and subscribe. This is really going to help my channel and much appreciate. And like as well, hit that notification bell for every latest. Go and check out the latest Friends quiz that's already out the time I record this. As well, I can just say there's another quiz. Stay tuned. If it's all out after I record this episode, you are going to love it. So stick around for that. So let's begin. So, what a change in the Australian sport today. Now, I'm going to say, I'm going to go and talk about the basic, but this is only part one. There's going to be a couple parts about this. So hopefully you enjoy the series. So first up is about the Australian Football League. So I'm going to talk about the last 25 years of the rules and stadiums and how much it's just changed in the last 25 years in the history and what's new today. So, wow, the MCG. Can I talk about the rich history about this ground? It's not just a Melbourne cricket ground. It's not just cricket. It is the home of football, the AFL, the VFL history. We'll talk that another time. But the most important to have 100,000+ seat venue to watch a good game of football, especially in a nice condition in this winter sport. The MCG is what the place will come to the Adelaide Oval in Adelaide, South Australia, or Icon Park Oval, which originally known for Football Park at Amy Stadium in the suburb in Adelaide, the west in Adelaide. It was a very much a 45,000 stadium. It's now into the Adelaide Oval since 2014. We come to 2018 model of the Optus Stadium, the formalised Civvy Oval, and known for the Wacker, and all that history and Optus Stadium in Western Australia. That's been one of the best stadiums I've never been to. I would love to go to Perth and experience that stadium, but I haven't yet. I've been to Perth, but never to that stadium. We come to the history of back in 2000. It's the 25th year that since this stadium has been built. It's a new franchise. It's called the Dome. We've had Etihad. Well, I could not tell you the first original name, but it's now called Marble Stadium. Now, you must know about Marble. It's a comic book and movie, so you must know that. But it's been the name of 2000 since that. Mars, this stadium in Ballarat, the home of the Western Bulldogs. They're upgrading their stadium. So I'm looking forward to that in the near future for the home of the Western Bulldogs to see many games there. And there's so many other stadiums, ovals. History will be another time. But what is the question what is the change in today? I mentioned about the rules of the game. The big one in today's sport in general is the concussion rule. This is what they call the medical sub. There is 22 normal and a +1. That is 23 on a selection table. Not easy role. There is also they brought in 6 defenders, 6 mid, and 6 forward. So what I mean is 6 defense, 6 midfield, including the ruck as well forward. So I just want to confirm that overall. There's a total of 23 players per week on each round. So the AFL has changed with the skill, with a week for the game. You still need to be strong to be on the body by body, but it's changed. It's different to the NIL as well. I watched their NIL grand final and there's so many hits. And wow. Back long time, back in the 2000s, the days, there was a lot of hit and hard to bump. And boy, there's word of concussion in today. And I've watched so many games in those olden days, and wow. I've been playing football for an inclusive team. I enjoy this sport. I played for a team called Kenilworth Kookaburras Football Club, the chocolate and the blue, and I absolutely changed. But next time I will share a bit more deeper of the history of before we had the Allied Oval in this region, at the stadium, that what the original, where all the AFL, such the AFL, but more the AFL back in those 90s, early 2000s, where did all these ovals host their games? And stay tuned, stick around, because that's another episode to come. But now, that's AFL reviews and what has changed. Now, that's all for now. Now we're going to my favourite sport. It is basketball. There is plenty of sport. What's changed? But the most common sport I love is Aussie rules, AFL as well. Well, we got to do basketball. But what has changed? Since I've been a young fella, I love this game. The National Basketball League is the Australian League. So we're more talking about the men's basketball. So teams come and go in this competition. And there's so many players have played in Australian Basketball League, have come overseas and play with the Australian local talent, which is so important. There's so many talent that has played in the NBA from then to today, and there's been in that fantastic. What teams have played in the NBL has now passed 26 seasons, the year of 2000. That's what we're going to be doing. The year 2000, 2001 NBL ladder. Now, this is a different icon. We are not showing who finished top, who finished bottom. We're talking about the history of this team. And hopefully they'll come back in the future. Or these will be always be part of us as my childhood. And this is the first team. The one of the Sydney teams, which bit later very soon. I won't go into too much detail. That is another show, but I'll share that as well. But first up, it is the West Sydney Rise Back. Now, this team struggled over time, and there was financial players, all that. So the West Sydney Redbacks were in the NBL. They started from till 1998 to 2009, 11-year history in the NBL, which is a pretty good effort, making 3 finals appearances from 1999, 2002, 2003, 04. That is a pretty good effort achievement and grand finals appearance, which is 2 times, 2001-02 and 2003-04. So that's a pretty good effort in a team who was in for 11 years. But this is a good history from the formal team, West Sydney Redbacks. Do you remember this team such as I remember as a child? I went to all the home games at the old stadium, which is back in Findon in Adelaide, called the Clitzel Powerhouse. Is now the LA 36 Arena. But I remember the greatest memories I will never forget. Now, before I get to the next team, think this was the team we versed. And I was on the sideline. So it's opposite where all those, if you've been to the stadium before, all the boxes will be facing and you'll be facing the crowd. And it's where all the 36 players come out from the left and the way is on the right. So the interesting thing is I had my nose smacked with a ball. Now, I was only 11 years old. I was like a child, that in the time a child that got on to the stadium with Murray, the Matt Pie. It was all great memories, but that was something I've learned. Eyes on the ball. And as a kid, I was in tears. Came back with a can of Coke. So Coke was massive back in that era. But yeah, so let's get into the next team. It only exists in the WNBL. Their name is Canberra Candors. Now, a Canberra team that come in the NBL, I do not remember this team. So the history about Canberra Candors is another team not in the NBL, or obvious not anymore, but do you remember this team? Not myself, as I wasn't born. I wasn't born but back then when they were there, but I don't really remember too much about this team. But they came into the NBL since 1979 to 2003, which is a great effort after the, almost 30 years. It's just it's like 20 plus years. It's 24 years. I just calculate that till now. Where did Canberra Candace were in the NBL won 3 championships from 1983, 84 and 88, as well 2 runners-up in 1979, the year they joined, and 1989. It's a total of 5 grand finals overall. Which is actually a great effort. So that's a little bit, I don't know too much, and I'm not going to go too much detail about this and players and that, but if you remember, comments down below if you're a big NBL person in the Australian National Basketball League is what they are. The association is the NBA, which we are not going to be doing in this episode, but hope you're enjoying it. If you like, subscribe, like, notification, all that. I hope you do enjoy this so much as I am sharing this. So we do come to the next team with the Victorian team, which is the Victorians Titans. Another Victorian team in the NBL has removed, and they enter the NBL from 1998-2004, very similar time as the Canberra Candace. A 6-year season in the NBL. I still remember Victorian Titans when they were playing in the NBL as I was a child. The Victorian Titans made 4 NBL finals appearances from 1999, 2000, 2001 and 2002. The NBL Grand Finals appearance for 1999 and the 2000 year. So how can NBL teams only play 6 seasons? I believe they should stay that a little bit longer in my opinion. So what is your favourite memory from the NBL, or do you remember these teams? All right, there's more to go, but put comments down below. But one to the very end, and I'll remind you of this as once again. So we come all right with the Townsville teams. Now, this is the Crocodiles, which is in Queensland. So we're moving from Victoria, and now we're moving up to Queensland. A little bit more warm in Australia. And one thing, they were very good. In my very best opinion, they were very good. So, in my best, in the early 2010, they may not won championship, but they were hard played no matter what. Why did they leave Townsville Crocs? Now, before I said Townsville Crocodiles, there was another early team, if you remember when they come in NBL, we'll share that very shortly, but how good they were. I am now going to share that part. It's unfortunately do you remember those Townsville Crocs days? Do you remember how good they were playing finals and all that in that time for so many seasons? Well, unfortunately, it went shop in the 2014-2015 season. They have to remove from the NBL with financial troubles. There's a bit more to that if you don't want to go through that. But if you're a Townsville Crocs supporter, do you go for the Cairns Taipans? Do you follow that team since they're not part of the NBL days anymore? I would like to see comments down below if you all that. And any other team I mentioned, do you remember these teams? Did you like them? What's your favourite team? Well, there's more to come in those other teams I have not mentioned yet, but stay tuned for that. But anyway, hopefully we'll see them in the future. We may not. We do have a Northern Queensland team, so named Cairns Taipans, which, I've said it, but that's all right. But getting more detailed, we had, since Townsville came into the competition from 1993 to 2016, they were the Townsville Suns. Now, there was a little bit about to do with the Phoenix Suns, which that was like a copyright type thing. You cannot use that. Then from Townsville Suns were the first name, then Townsville from 1993, they were into the NBL, then changed it to the Crocodiles, which was an Aussie thing. With 1998 to 2016 were both Suns and Crocodiles mixed again during that time. So they were the original name. Now, I didn't know that. I did not know there was the Townsville Suns. Then they moved to the Townsville Crocs, and I remember that. But they never won a championship. All this history is huge. Now, a memory, do you remember Townsville Crocs, all the Suns? Comments down below. We move on to the magic of that. We do have a magic team who was that? Find us very soon. We do have another Melbourne team called South Dragons. We now, with so many teams to come, we'll just mention another team just a few seconds ago, but I remember this team. Do you remember this team? Well, they were only in the NBL for 3 seasons, 2006, 2009. So I really don't overly remember, but they won one championship and they're gone. So very short-term team in the NBL. So before we get into the history of the next team, which is the NBL one team, the most common is now United, but we'll share that. Who's that? It's Melbourne Tigers. We all know that. I just said it, United. But why they came Melbourne United, we'll share that soon. But the idea I'm sharing this right now, it's all right. Melbourne Tigers is the next team. We may not share much about the Southern Dragons, which I don't have much to share about because I just told a little bit of detail, but this is huge. One of the best icon teams in the NBL, and we're going to share a mass legend, what I think is one of the best players of all time. You can't go past a big fella. We'll share that very soon. I remember this team. They were the best team in the competition from the Melbourne Tigers' point of view. The legend Andrew Gage was a fan. I enjoy watching him play basketball. I didn't watch a lot when I was a child, but I just remember watching him a little bit later in my day. But I remember there's so much stacks of him in this great sport. He can still shoot when they're watching a famously show called Bounce on a Sunday night. Love your mobile territory. I love your statement doing your part on the Bounce show in the AFL season. But getting back to the Melbourne Tigers, where's I'm going to turn it up? From 1984 to 2014, the Melbourne Tigers will soon that name, and then they won 4 championships. That's right. What can I call Melbourne Tigers one of the best teams in the NBL? Oh, well, the LA 36ers, I'm from Adelaide. Of course, they're the best team, but they were the best. And Andrew Gage always will be an icon for the Melbourne Tigers. So we come now from Melbourne. We're going to Sydney, Wollongong. There's an area called the Wollongong Hawks, but they were not the original name. They were called the Eel Hawks, which they are gone back to in the NBL, which the team I'm going to share today very, very soon. So what kind of history? I'm going to share from the original Eel Hawks is now the Wollongong Hawks back into the year 2001. So they were not the original team. It was the Eel Hawks, which they are now back to that. Well, we'll share that very shortly. But they did came in 1979 to 1998. That's how long they were in, 19 years. Then Wollongong Hawks took over from 1998 to 2018. A 20-year reunion from that. Never won a championship in during that time. Back in the original name of the Eel Hawk, may I wish, that's what I remember. I remember they Wollongong Hawks and the Eel Hawks. They won originally a championship. 2001 was their first. They won their second 2025 early in the year of the NBL 25. This is huge. A long time, good team. Can they come back to back in the NBL? We'll find out at the end of the NBL season. We now come to the last team, which I just mentioned, the Magic. It's the Southeast Melbourne Magic. They are now called the Phoenix today. Do you remember recalling this team back in 1992 to 1998? 6 seasons, a mother team. They were the best in the 90s. You could not go past them. Later on, well, a few years back, they were called the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. But they were a good team in the 90s, and you can't go past the Magic shot. I'm unsure if I remembered this team, and I really don't. I don't really remember, but they were a good team for 6 seasons, and you're going to have that respect. But this is their finals appearance. That's how good they were. 7 times from 1992, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. That's how many finals appearances. They made appearance of 4 times grand final from 92, 96, 97, 98. That's a very good achievement in the 6 years. And that is incredible. But it's now time to move on from today's themes. That's it for the past. Now, next time, I'm going to share these things, but that's what we're going to be sharing next time here on the BJ Show. So, the LA 36ers, Sydney Kings, Brisbane Bullets, and Perth Wildcats, the Eel Hawks, and the Melbourne Tigers, they're all going to be reunite. But we had the LA 36ers, Sydney Kings, Brisbane Bullets, New Zealand Breakers, Cairns Taipans, Perth Wildcats, and the Melbourne United will we share next time, which are the formal team of Melbourne Tigers, Eel Hawk. We have shared them. I might just require your memory. And the newest teams in the NBL for the first time in history, the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers, they will be all shared next time on the BJ Show. There's another episode. Stay tuned for that. Well, that is all for today's show. Hope you enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe as well. No, hit that notification. You will not miss a beat. As well for your support. This is a big goal. I would love you all to my goal to the 1,500 subscribers. That's the goal. Now, I would like to do it by mid-November. Now, I will love it. Before that, even better. But even more, I'd love to get to 2K, 2,000 subscribers by then. This is it. Now, I just want to share right now, there's a Disney. It's out and about. That's coming out. Stay tuned for that. And I'll catch you all later. The BJ Show's out. Thanks for listening. Peace.